Hello everyone and welcome back to another Train Sim World 2 news video. Now today we have got a interview from a real life Scotrail driver. We're joined today by Ian Gilfillan from Scotrail to discuss what it's like to drive on a modern Glasgow suburban network and the experience of operating a BR Class 314. So the first question is, can you tell us a bit about yourself and what your role is within Scotrail? Hi, and thanks for having me. I am currently an Operations Competence Manager within Scotrail. There's a lot of variety within the role. For example, I conduct reviews of drivers, verify new trainee drivers for the company, and we also govern the Scotrail Operations Manual, which are guidance for our train crew and depot managers. We conduct signal sighting too and work in collaboration with Network Rail, so if they are re-signalling the line, we give recommendations regarding braking capabilities and traction on that line. How did you become a driver for Scotrail? Well, when I was younger, I became quite obsessed with the railways, and at that time it was mostly diesel locomotives, carriages and freight trains. I know these are around now, but back then there was a lot more variety on our railways. I was very enthusiastic about the railways back then, and it was a dream of a lot of young boys to become a driver. Initially, I joined as a traction trainee in 1985 at Eastfield Depot in Glasgow, and then became a driver at Yoker. I did leave for a short time, but came back to Scotrail and again worked as a driver before becoming a driver trainer for 8 years. What's the experience of a driver like on a commuter network like Glasgow? I spent a few years driving at Yoker, a suburban depot at the west of the city. They say that Yoker, along with some of the other main depots in London, is one of the most challenging depots due to the number of cautionary signals you encounter on a daily basis. Running at low speeds, looking after the doors at each station, and because of so many trains on the network. When you're working an early shift, you'll see a lot of cautionary signals, especially in built-up areas or high footfall areas like Patrick and Glasgow Queen Street. Delays can occur because trains are ahead, so concentration levels need to be high because you might be running under caution at certain times. Your station stops might be altered or different from day to day or run to run. Sometimes you could be driving an express service or an all-stop service, so you must be extremely focused. Thankfully, things don't go wrong very often, but you must have a cool head and rely on extensive training you have had. What's your favourite station of the Glasgow suburban network, and why? My favourite is Glasgow Central. It's more than a suburban station, obviously being a main line for intercity and trains going south. I just love everything about it. At night time, the approach to it is just phenomenal, with the lighting and signals that the driver would see. They are very complex, so as a driver you would need to be alert to driving and out of Glasgow Central. When you get off the train, the magnitude of it's just such a lovely building, and the architecture is incredible. Glasgow Central Station is important to the city of Glasgow, especially to the older generation, as it was the start of holidays for many people, whether they were going to Blackpool or somewhere else on the coast. It's also a meeting place for people greeting friends or family and then saying goodbye to them. What is the Class 314 like to drive? The acceleration was exceptional, they were fast and the brakes were different, although some people would argue that they weren't as good as what we had before. You always had to be wary of them, as they could be prone to wheel slip protection approaching stations, and some brakes were softer than others, but overall they were particularly good to drive. They were prone to rain, loud whistles and drafts at high speeds coming in through the gangway door, so if you shut the wee door next to you, you would become quite cosy with the heaters on and you didn't notice all the bad points. A couple of tips I would give to players when taking off from a station would be to bring the brake down from step 3 to step 1. Go into nocturnal power and then release the brake. Only do this once you have achieved power to prevent the train from rolling back or rolling forward. Don't accelerate too fast or too hard, because remember, they are prone to WSP. Because of the amount of traction they have, lastly, brake well in advance of arrival into a station. What's your favourite thing about the Class 314? Personally, I found the whole cab area nice and spacious. As I said before, I liked shutting the door and keeping warm as they had good heaters. They were really comfy to drive, and you could stand up driving. Oh, you could stand up driving them as well if you got to the stage where you needed to increase your alertness. You could you could change your driving position easily, and you could also have the option to open the non-driver's side cab door to view passengers getting on or off the train. On the driver's side, you had the option of doing that or using the cab window. What was it like on the line around the farewell tours for the loco or train? So the train went over a few routes like Glasgow Central to Ayr and back. It also went to Cumbernauld. I drove the last leg from Glasgow Central to Helensburgh and then back to Glasgow Central where the train terminated. We took the empty carriages to Shields and that was the last passenger service. Unfortunately, it was dark as it was the week before Christmas. On the tour, there were lots of photographers and people recording the event. When we left Glasgow Central around 16:30, there was a lot of people taking pictures or just there to see the last 313 leave Glasgow High Level. Actually, last December I was involved in taking a 314 that had been sitting at Yoker Depot for 12 months to Shields and it powered up okay after a year of doing nothing. What do you think about the Cathcart Circle on Trainsim World? It looks fantastic and really realistic. I'm particularly impressed with the cabin detail and the fact the 314 even has a dirty front, which they normally had. So that is the interview with the Scotrail driver. Obviously brilliant stuff. Obviously really looking forward to the Cathcart Circle, obviously releasing on June the 10th. Obviously we'll be streaming it here on the channel. But that is going to be it from me. Obviously thanks all for coming in. You will find links in the description to the Discord server, PayPal and to the merch store. But yeah, that's it from me. Thanks all for coming in and I hopefully will see you in the next one. See you all. Take care. Bye guys.